Okay, welcome to the Field Notes with Rashad podcast. I am here with Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunter. Elliot, thanks for coming on today.
Good. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being on here.
Yeah, I absolutely love your YouTube channel. You've been putting out a lot of really awesome videos, and I recently am training my first duck dog, and so the work
Nice.
that you've been doing with Georgie, correct?
Yeah,
I'm absolutely inspired by, and so I'd like to start there if that's okay with you.
absolutely.
So, how old is Georgie now?
She just turned 7.
Wow, 7. Did you have her since she was a pup?
Yep, 8 weeks old. Got her at 8 weeks.
Dang. So that's you guys have been on a real journey together then.
I can't believe it's 7 years. It's just I'm still like, am I counting that wrong? I just can't even believe she's 7. It's just insane. It blows my mind.
Well, and it's kind of a tough deal, right? Because they say 7 is kind of that turning point. How you feeling about her?
She's doing great. I mean, she's the last 2 seasons. So I think 6 is absolute prime.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, but she's not slowing down. She's doing phenomenal. She's got so much go and drive. She's been a little injury prone on her paws. But no, she's going strong. She's great right now.
Do you think you're gonna get a puppy to kinda follow her around and kinda replay they talk about the best trainer that you could have is a mature, well-trained dog.
For sure. The bloodline that she's out of is the bloodline that I will have for the rest of my dogs. So she's out of Flatlander Kennels, a dog named Low Point Flash, who has 10 HRC grand passes, just one of North America's best dogs. And so I would like to get so her either another dog from her dad, who her dad's 10 now, or one from her full brother or full sister. But that, and I don't know when that'll be. I got to see when those litters come up. I'm thinking 2 years, maybe when she's 9. I don't want to it's a weird transition because I don't wanna miss any of Georgie's years by sharing retrieves with another dog, but these years go so quick, I don't wanna miss any of the years of the pup either. So, it needs to be a clean crossover, and I don't know. I just gotta see where her health is and when the litters are coming out. But, yeah, I'm starting to think about it. I'm starting to kinda plan it.
Yeah. So Flatlander Kennels, where are they out of?
Out by Bayard, Nebraska, clear on the border of Wyoming. The owner is named Chris Jobman. I've got 2 podcasts, and one of them is the Flatlander Kennels podcast with Chris Jobman. So I'm like the producer and co-host, and he's the content. He is one of the premier hunt test dog trainers and water dog trainers in North America. I mean, he is just unbelievable. Unbelievable guy, unbelievable trainer. So yeah, they're clear out by the Wyoming border. Nebraska is a huge gun duck dog state. I mean, there are kennels, phenomenal kennels all over that state.
Really? I know it's a
Yeah.
great waterfowl destination, and I mean, hunting all around, it's a great sportsman's destination, and so I'm not surprised to hear that at all. It's kinda I like to say it's a sleeper state, and I kinda wanna
Mhm.
keep it that way a little bit.
Yeah, it's a very unique state. You had different if you go from the east clear to the west, it's way more diverse than Kansas is. Kansas have some diversity, but when you get out like clear out to Castle Rock by the Wyoming border and through like there's some real canyony areas kind of south central Nebraska. And then they've got the rainwater basins, which is just flat prairies. Then they've got the sand hills. I mean, it is a phenomenal state because it's really more diverse than people realize. It's not like a world-class waterfowl state, but when you match the waterfowl with the beauty of the landscape, it is a destination.
Yeah, I have, some plans this year to actually get into more of that western, Nebraska territory to do some deer hunting and just even doing the e-scouting and looking at, Google Maps and stuff like that. I mean, it is really, really beautiful country, I think, and when you're driving through, like, I've gone coast to coast a couple times, well, coast to Midwest, and, you don't really see that part of Nebraska from the interstate. So it's like you gotta kinda get in there and do some research to really see a lot of that beauty.
Absolutely right. The main interstate that runs through, and I can't remember which one it is on all the time, but that misses the vast majority of the beauty of Nebraska. It's very biodiverse. It's a cool state. Very. Where do you live? I'm not sure.
I live in Southwest Missouri.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
So, and I travel. I hunted deer and ducks in Kansas quite a bit last year. Did a big snow goose
Mhm.
hunt in Kansas with a new outfitter to that area, and so, but Missouri's got great waterfowl destination as well. Like there's some stuff a little south of the Kansas City area that I like, about an hour and a half from where I'm at. It's weird because out here in Southwest, it's like the Central Flyway just kind of misses us heading into Oklahoma, and the Mississippi breaks off a little bit more. So this Ozarky kind of range that I live in isn't really a super prolific waterfowl spot, so I kind of have to travel to hunt. Fortunately, I've made some friends with some guys in Kansas who like, hey, I'll go sleep on your couch for a couple days, and we'll just like get after it, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I'm still like at the point in my life where I'm like, I'm sleeping in the back of the van, bundled up, and we're just gonna like sleep in a parking lot and thug it out because
Right.
the ducks are hot right now, and so I know that's not the most
That's the
sustainable.
most pressured area of Kansas, but it's a phenomenal area.
Yeah. And I think it's probably, it's kind of a meme at this point, but it's like you're going to see license plates from Mississippi. You're going to see license plates from Louisiana, the Carolinas. And I kind of like talking with those folks. It doesn't really bother me that much. If you're willing to put in a little bit more, back work and get deep into the refuges, you can get into some really good duck hunting still.
For sure. I totally agree. If you work hard, you'll be fine.
So are you West or Central Kansas? Where are you located?
I grew up in central Kansas. I grew up in Salina, and now I live far northeast corner, by the Missouri River. I'm like a stone's throw from the Missouri River, so I'm pretty much right on the border. But I hunt central Kansas, north central Kansas, west Kansas, east Kansas, northeast Kansas, in a lot of Nebraska because I'm
Uh,
only 30-minute drive from Nebraska. So I hit Nebraska a lot too. These days I hunt Nebraska about as much as I hunt Kansas.
yeah,
In a
you're not the first person really to kind of branch off over there. I know you did a turkey hunt with Jake from Chasing Green recently, and he's been
Mhm.
hunting Nebraska quite a bit lately as well, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, well, they made, filming on KDWP land illegal. Well, they said it always had been, but no one thought that it was, but they said that it was. And so you can no longer make videos on Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks land and put it on YouTube. So it pushes now you can on it, it just you it's very specific where you can't do it. So I still have a lot of ground in Kansas that I can, but Nebraska doesn't have those same legislation. So that's why it pushes some of us into Nebraska a little more.
Got it. Yeah. Before we get off of the dog training stuff, so is Flatlander, is that kind of where you did your training for Georgie? Is you're learning from him, or are you using some type of
I learned from him, but I did my training here at my house. So I used Freddie King's system, which is theretrievertrainer.com. It's only $60 a year. It's unbelievable. It's just a phenomenal. It's very similar to Chris Jobman's system. It's a pressure system, so force fetch, e-collar, all of that. It's a phenomenal system. And then I infused into that I was co-host of the Duck Gun podcast for 250 episodes, and we had Chris Jobman on before I ever got Georgie, and we did a full hour on force fetch, a full hour on e-collar training. So when I went to those two steps, I followed the audio, Jobman's audio of that, and then other than that, I followed Freddie King's the retriever train. I did it all myself, but I went to because I did the whole hunt test game. I did HRC, AKC. So Georgie's got her hunting retriever champion title and her master hunter title. And so when I got ready for all of that, I went out to Flatlander and worked with him for a bunch of days in a row, and he coached me, and that's kind of where I refined the whole process. But I got her to the point through the whole program, and then he helped me. He just refined me, basically. Over on the Flatlander Kennels podcast, we went through Chris Jobman's entire flow chart from the time you bring your puppy home to finished, and we did an episode on each one, and we have it all on a playlist. Now it's only audio, but it's really, really detailed. And so when I train my next dog, I'm pretty much just going to go off of that audio, a flow chart of Jobman's is what I'll use because it's really detailed.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to take a look at that because I've heard really, really good things about Freddie's work, and I have listened to some of your stuff on the Gun Dog podcast. That a lot of great content over there. I went ahead and did the Cornerstone for this dog.
Mhm.
Uh, came recommended from a friend of mine down in Arkansas who has a dog who did well, and so far I like it. It's less pressure focused like some of these other ones, which I'm not opposed to. I think that it's all very moral stuff nowadays. These dogs get treated incredibly well, and they get fed better food than some people. I mean, it's really great. What feed do you like for Georgie?
I use, Purina Pro,
Yeah.
the chicken and lamb, just the athletic dog. I think it's like the sport dog or something. That's what I've always given her.
Yeah, same here. Um, no, that's awesome. And so you're saying, so what was kind of the world like getting into the hunt trials? Did you kind of always have that in mind, or was it sort of like, okay, we've been hunting a lot, I want to get these registrations for, her, or were you kind of, was that the goal from the beginning?
So my dad had done it with his dog about 20 years ago. So I was aware of that community. And when I got Georgie from Flatlander, it was a promotional deal where I was going to promote his kennels. And so I got the dog and I was going to promote his kennels. And he said to me, he's like, my only worry is you've never really been a trainer. What if I give you this dog and basically you suck at training it and the dog looks terrible? And so when he said that, it just lit a fire under me. And I just decided, you know what? I cannot let that happen. I've got to put more effort because this is my third dog. My first dog, I put no effort into training. My second dog, my goal was steady and bring back to hand. And this dog, I was like, all right, I'm going to put everything that I can into this dog. And so we got to about a year old and I started doing some training stuff with, some people that local people that did the hunt tests, and I was just curious about it. And so I went and watched a hunt test and was like, let me just see. It was like a proving ground for myself. Like, let me see how well I've done. The goal was to get into the HRC, and they've got 3 levels. They've got, started, seasoned, and finished, and I'm just like, "Let me just see if I can prove to myself that I've done an adequate job, and maybe we can get our hunting retriever champion title." I don't know, and I got into it, and it was just a blast. I mean, it's a HRC is a ton of amateurs. When you go to an event, it's like a weekend event. You can get a ribbon on Saturday and Sunday, so you can get 2 passes in 1 weekend, and on Saturday night, they have a banquet. It's just an awesome atmosphere, HRC is, and I just kinda fell in love with doing it, and so we ended up we passed every never failed a test on HRC and got our hunting retriever champion title, and I'm like, "Okay, let's jump over to the AKC now." I was just having a blast. AKC is way more pro-centric, it's not as a fun event, it's a lot more pros and less amateur atmosphere, and the tests are a little bit more technical, and we failed our very first one AKC event, passed all the rest, and got our master hunter title, and I don't know, it's just fun. It gives you something to do on your off season. Off season became hunt test season, and you're traveling and staying in hotels and just sitting around watching dogs, and the first event I went to, I was just amazed because I was like, you see all of these. It's like being a professional sporting event because every dog you see is like a super athlete, in the dog world. None of them are fat. Most dogs you see out in public are fat, let's be honest. And you go to these events, they are all gorgeous dogs, they're all athletic, and it's just a really fun event, and it makes the off season just that much more fun. So yeah, it was just I recommend it to anyone at least to go and watch one and see if it's for them.
No, that's incredible. It sounds like quite the journey, and it's clearly paid off. I mean, your dog does so well in the videos, and it's very impressive to watch. And there's always seemed to be in my mind this kind of misconception that field trial dogs don't work as well in the marsh. You've probably heard this rumor. Do you give any credence to that?
No, 0.
Yeah.
0. I
So
mean, the training for a hunting dog should be essentially the same as a hunt test dog, minus a few little things, like maybe you don't care if your dog cuts corners and runs the bank a little bit, but I mean, it's the same training. And the dogs on a Georgie understands the difference between a hunt test and when we're out hunting. When we're out hunting and we run a blind, she knows she's got way more freedom because I may not know exactly where the bird is. She knows. She just knows the game. And so no, they're completely complementary. At least that's been my experience.
Yeah. And so is it the type of thing where everybody out there is hunting, or is there some guys who just like running labs and just doing trials? Or do you think there's
There are some.
oh really?
There's quite a few women that there's more women involved in it than you think, and a lot of them are hunt tests only. That's just what they do. They do it for fun. I wouldn't say a lot, but just, you go to a hunt test and let's say there's 30 dogs running, there might be 4 or 5 women running dogs, which is a way higher percent than you see out duck hunting. And those women are normally hunt test only. And there are some guys that are more hunt test than they are hunting, but the vast majority of them do both.
Got it. Got it. So with this being your third dog, a guy like me who's training his first duck dog, what are some of the common mistakes you see people run into? And, or when you were getting your first dog and getting it kind of up and going, what were some of the pitfalls that you found yourself running into? Like if you were to kick some advice around?
Well, your dog don't expect your dog to be super dog and learn everything quickly. People wanna push their dogs too hard, and if you get online, "My dog was steady at 8 weeks old," and so there's a lot of people that wanna try to cram things on dogs too early and not let them be puppies. People don't socialize their dogs properly and get out and see them. But the main thing is find a system that you trust and like and follow it. Follow it daily, follow it closely, and when I see people that say, "Oh, I'm getting a dog, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that," and then after a year they really haven't, it's just because they're not being consistent with the time and the program. I mean, it only takes about like for the first year, you go out one 15-minute session 5, 6 days a week. That's all it takes, and you can do the vast majority of that stuff just in your backyard. It's just a matter of getting off the couch and getting outside, knowing what you need to do, following the system, and it's not that hard if you do that. But the number one thing I've seen is people just not doing it. They're
Mhm.
just not following the plan. They say they're going to, but then they just don't follow up and don't do it. And that's not going to produce what you want. It depends on what your goals are. Like my goal with my second dog was be steady and bring the duck back to me so I don't have to get up out of my layout blind or get up at all, just bring it all the way back. Those were my goals. So we didn't do any whistle sitting, we didn't do any casting, we didn't do any of that. So I knew what my goal was from the start. So you set what your goal is, get a plan to meet that goal, and then just actually do it. And it's
Mhm.
not near as hard as people think.
Yeah, I've even found myself kind of running into that, where it's like when something's new and fresh and you're just getting into it, it's so exciting. And so like, you're like, man, we're getting out there every day, 3 times a day, 10-minute session, 10-minute session, 10-minute session. And then it gets kind of normal and you have to be like, oh, wait, the timer's going off or the alarm in my phone. It's like, okay, we don't miss 2 days of training and you kind of got to drag yourself out there. And then it's like you see that in different aspects of life, but when your dog makes really good progress, like lately we're doing extended place and extended sit. And at first we're only getting a few yards off of the place board and he's breaking. It's like, okay, little by little. And now I could be 30, 40 feet away. And he just stands there, tracks me left to right. I'm like, you
Mhm.
got it. This is perfect. You got it. And
Right.
I find so much satisfaction in those wins like that. And I could see if you don't have a program or if you're not following, the program that you do have, you're not going to get that level of satisfaction. And then it just becomes a chore, something that you'll
Mhm.
loathe. And the thing that kills me is when I see a lot of guys who will do, Instagram or wherever it may be. And it's like a young puppy like I have, he's only 18 weeks and they're doing just the wildest stuff with these guys, like the throwing bumpers into water and there's no breaking or sitting or staying, and it's like, man, I just don't know if that's the best thing for an 18, 20-week-old puppy. I'm not an expert, but and then you'll of course go into the comments and see these guys getting absolutely flamed by people who do know what they're talking about, or introduction of gunfire way too early. I mean, it can be super detrimental to a dog. It's a shame.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that will fight with you on social media about how young you can do that with your stuff, but I'll tell you, I've talked to a lot of the best pros from Freddie King to Chris Aiken to Chris Jobman to Eric Tizon, who's the Habitat Flats trainer, and all of them say the same things about that rushing puppies on steadiness. Is they all say the same thing. Now people are going to fight with them on Facebook and tell them my dog was steady at, but the top pros will tell you that's not the way to do it. So those are the people that I'm going to default to.
Mhm. So that's kind of another piece of advice then is like almost just like double down on that steadiness and just make sure your dog's that's sitting on place and not breaking prematurely is kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah, that basic obedience,
Mhm.
because the system that those guys run is it's basically basic obedience up till about 6 months. And I mean, you can throw retrieves, but you're not doing steady. Your number one job, socialize the dog, take the dog everywhere with you, expose it to new environments and get it really confident, really happy, and have fun just throwing retrieves. But it's all fun, but the basic obedience, sit, heel, stay, all of that is really finely trained. The best thing someone can do bringing them a dog is to kennel crate train it. I mean, it is just you have a I learned that off the retriever trainer. It's like a scheduled kennel crate training plan. Your dog is in the kennel for X amount of time. It comes out. It's like a routine. Your dog's potty trained like that. I mean, like immediately, and it won't cry. It doesn't have separation anxiety. And so it's like if you just follow the system that a good pro has, it's going to turn out well for you. But yeah, I started e-collar training Georgie at 6 months, and then after that was force fetch. And if you're following Cornerstone, you probably don't do either of those two things. But that's and then after that force fetch is done, that's when the real training kicks in at that 5 to 6 month time frame.
Mhm. No, I 100% agree with you on the kennel aspect of things. Once we got that, and it was tough. I mean, it was tough because it's like when they're a puppy, you put them in the crate and it's like they want to whine and they're gonna
Hmm.
bark. And it's like my wife was like, that motherly instinct kicks in and she's like, I gotta go let him out.
Right.
I gotta do the thing. I'm like, no, just look, just let him thug it out. And sure enough, now
Yep.
he's in kennel on demand. He can be in there for 3, 4, 5 hours at a time. 5's a little long. I like to let him in there about 3 hours or so, but he does great. And it's like, it's
Right.
like a godsend where it's like, oh, I'm so glad we actually did this. Cause if not, they're just so much energy and so wily coyote and all over the place. And I see it too, where it's like, oh, if I have a Momarsh or whatever dog blind, this is going to be humongous when we're actually out there because I can just
Yep.
boom kennel, he's in there, and some people go back and forth on like, oh, dogs don't flare ducks, whatever. I'm like, look, if it's a game of measurables where it's like I want to maximize every little thing down to it where I can get the perfect hunt where ducks are, you know, backpedaling in my face, having a dog hidden is going to make a difference. I mean, and you got to imagine that their survival instincts, I mean, how many ducks die a year by coyote, right? It's not zero.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm sure that they're not in love with dogs, certainly. Um,
Yeah, for sure. Agreed.
and so
Yeah, and
with,
as far as the kennel stuff, if you get your dog out when they're whining, then your dog is training you. You're teaching your dog that vocalizations make me do what you want. And then your dog is in control and your dog is training you.
yep,
So you can't save them.
100%. And it was tough, but I'm like so thankful that we did it. I feel like it's just, like I said,
Mhm.
going to set us off on such a great foot. Now, with force fetch, I think that there's a lot of misconception, at least, in my mind. I don't fully understand it. So if you were to kind of explain it like a 5-year-old to a 5-year-old, as they say, what would you say force fetch is and the big benefits of it?
Well, first of all, do you have a British lab or American?
American.
American. So British labs the lines that they come down, they do not get bred if they have mouth issues. So they would if they don't naturally hold on to the bird, they are dropped from the program and they will not they breed that into the dog. So British labs don't need force fetch as much as American labs do. And Cornerstone is kind of some people may disagree with this, but Cornerstone is it's coming out of people who own British dogs. So you see less of You don't have force fetch in there. You have hold conditioning instead. American labs are not bred that way. American labs, it doesn't matter what mouth issues they have, they're breeding them for desire, marking, athleticism. It's a different dog. A British lab and American lab is a completely different dog. And so with the American lab, they you much more need force fetch than with the British dog. And number one, you're teaching the dog just to hold and pick up a bird whenever you want, but it's a lot more than that. You're teaching a dog to deal with pressure. You're teaching a dog to deal with adversity, and it sets up so many other things in your relationship with the dog, what the dog's able to handle, what the dog. It's a mental test game, and it's really not difficult. There, if you don't know how to do force fetch there and you misuse it, it can be catastrophic. But it's really not hard. You're just starting, just a real brief synopsis. You're starting with the bumper. You stick it in your dog's mouth. You say hold, tap up under their chin, and as soon as they hold it, you take it back out as soon as they comply. And that can take a long time. Just that can take a long time. And then after that, it's just a little longer, a little longer, a little longer. And then and once they're actually willing to hold the bird, then you go into there's different methods for this, but it's an ear pinch. And so you hold the dummy in front of the dog, you apply pressure on the ear, you say, fetch it, and you pull them to it. And as soon as they grab the bumper, then you release the pressure. And so what they're learning is that complying to what you want to do turns the pressure off. And you run through more and more of that to where they're picking it up off the ground, to where you're walking with them at heel, and you like have a ladder where you have multiple bumpers in a row, and you fetch it, they go get it, fetch it, they go get it. And then with the system that I use, e-collar comes before force fetch. You do force fetch without the e-collar, and then you bring the e-collar into the force fetch for the end of it. I mean, that's a super snapshot. But dogs do not want to. It's very difficult. A dog that's not force fetched, if you see something on the ground, you say, fetch it, the vast majority of the dogs will not pick it up. They don't pick it up unless they want to pick it up. We're teaching them you are going to pick it up because you have to pick it up, and you're going to enforce that. And so anything that I see on the ground, I can make Georgie pick up, whether it's I mean, there's some things she wouldn't pick up, but for the most part, if we're walking and I drop a bird and I tell her to fetch it, she'll go fetch it. And so it alleviates that whole mouth problem. A lot of dogs, they want to bring a bird back and drop it on the shore, or that's what my last dog did. The colder it got, she got to the edge of the shore and she just spit the duck out and walked back to me. And it doesn't matter what I said, she just wouldn't go and get it. So it's a lot more complicated than that. That's
Mhm.
a real snapshot of it, but it's really not a big deal. You're just applying pressure until the dog complies, and then you're releasing the pressure, which is the same thing with the e-collar. When you start with the e-collar, I started with, like you said, you're working a place, dog sitting at a place. I say here, and I give it a tiny little nick on the e-collar. Here, nick, here, and the dog comes to you. And the dog understands that the quicker they get to you, the quicker the pressure goes away. And so it's that whole system of compulsory behavior. I don't know. I know that some people can do it, but the thought, I've never had a dog that I have an e-collar conditioned that at a 7-year-old will only come to me from 80 yards if they want to,
Mhm.
because there's nothing that's been taught. I've not been able to teach them to come at 80 yards if they're sniffing something, or or if they don't want to. But you go through all these compulsory trainings, and now Georgie will. Now sometimes I have to use the mad voice if she's out sniffing something, but she will always come to me, and that's because of the work we did with the e-collar, with the force fetch. And she doesn't have to have her e-collar on; she just comes now. It's like, for me, it's telling them is, I don't care where you are at, you have to do what I say.
Mhm.
And you will do what I say. And if I'm going to teach you that I can reach out to you at 100 yards, at 150 yards, and I'm not going to just slam her with an e-collar. The e-collar stuff, the people that use e-collars right, you're very seldom, like at this point in her stage in her career out hunting, I don't hardly ever use the e-collar. I mean, and when I do, it's a real low level. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about how harsh you have to be, about how much pain it puts them through. It's just making something uncomfortable and teaching them when you comply with what I say, that uncomfortable feeling disappears immediately, is essentially all e-collar and force fetch are.
So when you're seeing, dogs operating at the highest level, whether it's an AKC or a hunt test or just great, dogs out in the field, if you had to break it down, out of 10 or percentage wise, how many of those do you think are using a force fetch method as opposed to
All of them. All of
really?
them.
Okay.
Yeah, corners like if you go to Southern Oak Kennels, they just don't even hardly do hunt test stuff. I mean, they may do uh some low level HRC stuff, maybe some season, maybe some finished. You cannot finely tune a hunt test dog without any collar. And now that's there. I'm sure there's a guy here or there like, well, damn it, I did it. But all of these the hunt test guys use e-collar because when you're especially when you're talking about running blinds and you're talking about running a 200-yard blind, dogs, there's certain things that dogs do not want to do. Like your dog goes out 100 yards, it's going the wrong way. You hit the whistle, the dog sits and looks at you. The dog needs to go to the left, but the wind is blowing into the dog's face. They do not want to go to drive into the wind. And without an instantaneous, so you cast them and they don't do it, you stop them, you give them a little nick. I don't know how you would fine tunely train a dog to do those little things at 150, 200 yards without an e-collar. And again, there may be some guy out there, some guy that is so exceptional as a trainer and is reading a dog that can get a dog to that point. But I can tell you, I don't know anyone that I've ever run across in any hunt test world that doesn't use e-collars. Now you can't use e-collars during the tests,
Mm.
but in training, I mean, it's just outside of Cornerstone, the vast majority of I would say all of the hunt test world uses e-collars. Um,
So I guess, I mean, I think a part of why Cornerstone has gotten so popular is, they have great marketing and obviously they spend a lot of
okay.
money on advertising. You can hardly type in dog into Google without seeing a Cornerstone ad nowadays.
Right.
Um, and so do you think that they're just programs maybe just a little more geared for your average hunter who's going to have a bird? It's not going to be much more than 50, 60 yards out or something like that.
I think that they have been marketing masterminds, and I think that having British Labs became very popular and very, trendy, and they capitalized on both of those things. But I don't think I just this is just my personal opinion. I would never use a non-pressure system to train a dog. I just would
Interesting.
never do it. I would never do it.
Well, now you got me inspired to check out Freddie's program a little bit more, maybe couple it with, because we're still mostly in just obedience, so I still think there's a lot of time
Mhm,
to maybe even make a pivot if that's what's
mhm.
necessary. And it's my first dog, so I know I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. It's why what in part why I really wanted to reach out to someone like you who has such a phenomenal dog, where I'm like, okay, maybe there's some wisdom here that I'm not getting from a thing that I bought. It's like you're not trying to
Right
sell
now,
me something.
and I will say there are a lot of people that have used Cornerstone that have liked Cornerstone, um, that will swear by it. So this is just my experience, and that's all I can speak. But I know that there are people that have used it that have liked it. I just don't know how. I just personally don't see how you can get a dog fine tuned at 200 yards with that system. And maybe someone could maybe if I had someone on, they could help me better understand. But then when I see them not participating in the hunt test game and everyone at the highest hunt test levels is using this one system, it's like uh, there is a being able to cast and run blinds with your dog on a hunt in actual hunting is one of the most satisfying things that I've ever experienced in waterfowl hunting. I mean, it is just so much fun beyond not having to get up and walk 200 yards to go and chase after a bird. Just the ability to do it, the connection that you have with your dog on something like that, where you hit a whistle and they just snap around, they're just staring at you and you give them a little hand signal and they go exactly the right way and they go into the brush and come out with the bird. It is so ridiculously satisfying and fun. And I that and you can, and Cornerstone still goes through blinds and everything. They still do. They still run blinds and they still teach blinds. So you can get that with Cornerstone. I just don't think you can get it as effectively and as easily as you can with a pressure system. Like, and Freddie King's is $60 a year. It's
Yeah.
$60 a year. Last time I checked, Cornerstone was $350. That's
More than
last time
that.
I.
More than that, yeah. It depends on which program you want. They like you said, the marketing geniuses truly. I mean, it's they got the system dialed out. And I think for me, in part, is I like a really clean, organized system. I used to be a musician and had a similar program that the way it was kind of organized that really, really helped me make a lot of growth. And so I was like, oh, I'm familiar with this style of learning, and so I didn't have to learn how to learn the thing, right? And so, uh,
And
but
those guys are not anti e-collar. I know my friend Josh from Outdoor Limits, I don't know if you're familiar with
oh yeah,
him.
love
He
his
worked he worked with Cornerstone, and I watched him go through the Cornerstone program. And Cora, I don't know if you're familiar with Cora, she was a very difficult dog, and he got to the point where he infused it, where he did e-collar condition her at a point, and they did not give him pushback because he was working with them. It's not that they hate e-collar stuff. You can run a hybrid where you go through Cornerstone, but then stop and do e-collar conditioning. And if you want force fetch, and still do their system. It's not that you can't marry the two together. You can, because I watched Josh do it. He got to the point where he was having so much problems with Core coming back to him and just obedience. And I was talking to him. I knew he was following Cornerstone. He's like, man, he's like, "What when am I is this gonna get fixed?" And I'm like, "As soon as you get an e-collar."
yeah,
That's when it's and e-collar conditioner, and those problems of her not coming back to him and stuff is like, "Boop, we're just gone, just taken away."
man, I felt bad for him because I would watch his videos and you could just tell like he was having so many problems with that dog. I mean, the incessant whining, the not
Mhm.
retrieving all the way, and it didn't seem. I mean, you could tell he cares about his training. I don't think he was necessarily doing anything wrong. Do you think he might have just like? Do you think Cora was just like a lemon of a dog, or
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah. I know he put in the time and effort on that dog. I mean, I trained with him with Cora and just watching and everything, and it was his first dog, and I watched him training her, being his first dog, and it's just really hard with your first dog to know how when you especially even when you watch videos, you're watching pros and their dogs, because they're pros, don't do the dumbass stuff that our dogs do when we're with them. So it's like, okay, I just watched your video. Your dog did great. Now my dog just act like a retard. What do I do? You
Right.
know,
Right.
and that's very, very difficult. And that's one thing I love about the retriever trainers. They've got a Facebook group that you get to go into when you become part of the retriever trainer. And if you have those little problems, you drop it on the Facebook group, and you get all these people giving you answers. And then Freddie King himself normally comes in and gives you an answer. And it's like that is so big, because if it's their first dog, it's like you don't know you're not even really fluent at reading dogs' body language, how to react to situations. So some of that, I think, was the deal with Josh, but I've just that dog, I wouldn't say that she was a lemon. I would say that there are certain dogs that takes a professional trainer to get them to a certain point, and then there's certain dogs that are just easier to train. And I think if Cora had been with someone that was a master trainer, I don't think I could have handled Cora. I think she would have been great. Like, she had a lot of natural ability, but, being Josh's first dog and the vocalizations, and it was just a lot. It was just a lot for him, and he put in all the time and all the effort and patience, and she's still come a long ways, since some of that early stuff, but it was a difficult, difficult dog
Mhm.
for sure.
Well, and you can see a stark difference, right? It's kind of the beauty of having documented so much of your hunts and whatnot. It's like his new dog. It's like, oh,
Mm,
dog just fell
chill.
right in line, and it seems
Very
to be doing a
relaxed
great
dog, polar
job.
opposite.
Yeah,
Polar opposite is the core of that dog.
that's so funny. So did you have a hand in him getting his new dog? Is that a Flatlander dog, or was that something?
No, I don't know where he got those dogs. I'm not even sure where he got Core. Are those I don't think Core's British, because he was looking at maybe working with Flatlander, but they didn't end up doing that, and I can't remember where. Oh, I know he got Core out of somewhere out of Emporia.
Mm.
Yeah, she's American dog, and I think Nala's American as well. I think both of them are American bred, but neither of them are out of Flatlander.
How important do you think it is for parents of a pup to have hunting experience? For me personally, I really wanted a dog that came from both parents hunted from the
Mhm,
South Central Arkansas area. So I drove all the way, east of Conway to a small town, the same town where Havoc Boats is out of, and bought my dog from some folks down there. They weren't trainers necessarily, or even
mhm.
they breed. They have a litter or so every year. But both of the parents hunted, and it was in that Arkansas environment, which is can be even a little bit rougher than some of this flat stuff out here. Do you think that having parents that come from that type of lineage is high of importance, or do you think just genetically these dogs got it and
If you were trying to adopt a child that was an NBA basketball player, would you want Michael Jordan's child or would you want mine?
I've never seen you play basketball, but MJ's pretty
Well, I'm
good.
no Michael Jordan. It's a statistical game is all it is. Now, I have seen there have been some dogs, like my friend Aiden has a dog, got this dog for $400, has every bit as much talent as Georgie does. In fact, this dog is just insanely good. And that was from a litter of hunting parents, but not like a super high bloodline, right? So it's a statistical game. I think that most labs, wherever you get them, will do what you need them to do. I really believe that. But this is my third dog, and the difference between Georgie and my other two dogs I've had are drastic in her intelligence and how she learns and her desire. Georgie's almost too much, a little too much of a dog for me. She's like a little Ferrari. And, so these American bred dogs they're breeding them to be really hot, tons of desire, tons of go, and so for some of these dogs are too much for amateur trainers. Like Georgie, I wouldn't say for the first dog I put in this kinda effort towards, she was probably a touch more than like, she's got some vocalization issues that I know that I kind of bred into her with my anxiousness, and she's just a lot of dog. But the difference that I see between her and the other 2 dogs I have, it's like she just learns so quickly. It's like so much of it just comes to her just naturally. I feel like that my training was, like, well below what it should have been to produce her to what she is, because I
Mm,
didn't really know what the hell I was doing, and things were going really well. Because it's my first dog. I'd never gone through 80% of the stuff we did. I'd never gone through any of the blind stuff. I'd never gone through swim by. I mean, I'd never gone through pile work. I'd never done any of it. So, I mean, it was my first time and it just felt like she learned so quick. And I got things were going really well. And I got kind of cocky and just kind of stopped following the Freddie King system and just kind of started doing my own stuff. And it all kind of fell apart. And so, I get the point I'm trying to make is that the higher the bloodline that you get it from, the better chance that you have of having like an all-world superstar athletically, easier to train, all of that stuff. But your average lab is gonna be able to do the job that you want it to do. But your chance of getting an absolute dud is gonna be higher if you just go into the paper like, "Oh, here's some lab for $15 out of an accidental, that lab is gonna have a much higher chance of just not having much desire
mhm.
than one out of these really high-end bloodlines.
Yeah. It kind of makes me wonder, the Kentucky Derby just happened recently, and there's always these statistics about, I think it was like literally all but one of those horses came from Seabiscuit, right? Are
I
you
saw
see,
that.
are you seeing like the AKC bloodlines get narrowed down like that, or is there still a pretty wide array of like sires and dames that these dogs are coming from?
There's a lot of different bloodlines on there. There's a lot of pro trainers and there's a lot of bloodlines, but what I see, like, on Jobman's truck, his last 2 so he has like 80 dogs at his kennel. He probably owns 10 himself. And he always has a dog that is his personal favorite at the time, the dog that he thinks is the most talented out of all of them. And right now, Georgie's dad is that dog for him. And before it was a dog named Jet. So what you see is all a ton of the dogs on his particular kennel or his particular truck are out of Jet and Flash. And so you run with him. He's like, "Oh, this is a Jet son. This is a Flash son." And so he's trying to fill all his trailer with pups out of his very, very, very best high end dogs. And when he does breedings, it's really interesting. He doesn't do many breedings, but when he does them, he sees dogs and he's like, okay, I see the qualities of this dog and I see the qualities of that dog. So he does very strategic breedings where a lot of there's some guys that are just breeders and they're not professional trainers, they're just breeders. And so they're looking at paperwork bloodlines like, oh, this dog's got its grand title and is a master hunter. This dog has its grand title and it's master hunter. I'm going to breed those two together. Where some people like Jobman are like, okay, yes, but I see the qualities that this dog possesses. I need to bring this dog's down a little. This dog's a little too hot. So this female is incredibly good, but she's a little bit lower in desire. I'm going to put those two together. They do breedings like that, and I think that makes a big difference out of the average. So you've got tons of different great bloodlines from North. There's so many good trainers, but I think you see the bloodlines being the same kind of in those areas and out of those independent trainers, and those dogs do get really well known inside of the hunting world. Eric Tizon out at Habitat Flats Kennel has a dog named Finn, and if you're in the hunt desk, you're just gonna know who that dog is. And if someone says, "Oh, that's a Finn pup," oh, oh wow. And Chris Aiken out of Arkansas, he's got I don't know what his current dog right now is, but it's the same with him. It's like if you're in that community, you know those names, and if you say, "Oh man, that's a Finn pup or that's a Flash pup," people are like, "Oh," it's like it's a little different deal. It's a really cool community.
Yeah, no, it sounds super interesting, and I personally have desires to do some hunt tests when that time comes, and so I'm trying to be very diligent about obedience training, and it's always that non-sexy work, right? It's like I want to post this content, but I'm like, you guys don't want to sit. Nobody wants to watch a video of me being like, okay, you sit right there for 30 seconds. I'm like, yep,
Right.
he's sitting on the board, guys. They want to see me
Yeah.
throw a bumper across the freaking field and him run 150 yards to go get it. And so it's just one of those things. But I've always kind of been a believer that like the non-sexy work is really where the bills get paid. Whether
Yep.
that's, universal in life. It's like sending emails all day can make you money. You just got to sit down and do it.
Right. Just little baby steps, just one little baby step at a time and
So you
putting
were
in the
saying
work, getting off the couch, putting in the work.
100%. So you were saying that your dad was a dog trainer as well. Do you come from a family of duck hunters?
No, my dad and I come from more upland hunters. So we upland hunted all the way up through kind of the end of my high school year. And then my dad got a pointing lab. And we never upland hunted with the point lab. After that, we started duck hunting because he got a lab, and it's like, oh, that's all we do now. So we're really the first kind of. I think one of my grandfathers did, but yeah, we were really transitioned from upland to waterfowl and never looked back. And the upland in Kansas has taken a nosedive, and all the good upland is where I grew up and not where I live now. I would still do some upland hunting, but I want my old stomping ground, central Kansas, not there's not around here.
Yeah. I've heard reports kind of on both sides, mostly regarding the quail. I've heard quail population is coming back, which
Mhm.
is exciting because that's kind of what the primary upland species we have down here and even into the southeast parts of Kansas. Not really going to get into much other than quail. So um, I know that upland testing is a part of the hunt test. And I was talking to a trainer one time, and he was saying teaching a lab to do the upland section of a test, guys do it in a week or two. You give much credence to that?
Well, that's only at the Grand for the HRC. So all of the started, seasoned, and finished, there's no upland portion of it. That's only if you go to the Grand, which is twice a year. They have the 5th series, which is an upland series. So it's never nothing that I've messed with.
Oh, 'cause I've always kind of been curious about that is like, you know, it's always a short-haired pointer or a wire-haired pointer doing upland work, but you also see a lot of labs out there on some videos and stuff. And so I know labs are certainly capable of flushing birds. And sometimes I'll see my dog, I'm like, he'll be doing a point on a squirrel or a bird. I'm like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
that, kind of interested to kind of dive into that more. So that's really cool though that you and your dad kind of got into duck hunting together. Is that something you guys still share?
Well, he's 82 now, so he hung it up. Last year, he went on his last duck hunt. I mean, he was with us on a duck hunt last year. He hunted some before that, so he's had to hang it up now. But I mean, we hunted tons together. For most of my hunting, it was basically just the 2 of us doing it.
Incredible. Well, it's great that you guys got those memories. I mean, I'm sure those are held in high regard to you.
For sure. Yeah, and I got a ton of them on video, which is awesome.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. So do you do any big game hunting as well, or are you mostly just a bird guy?
I'm embarrassed to even say this, that I've never even been on a deer hunt. I've never even been on a deer hunt. Now, I've just recently started to get the desire because 'cause I'm like, "Okay, I at some point have to say I've at least killed a deer." And now I've got my first rifle from Weatherby within the last I've never even owned a rifle until the last 12 months. So, now, man, duck hunting is what does it for me, and nothing else I've experienced in my life am I as passionate about as waterfowl hunting. There's just something about it. There's just something about the water and the environments, and there's just nothing I've ever done as far as bird hunting goes. It is can compare to it, and I can pretty much guarantee that no matter what big game hunt I went on, it probably wouldn't do it for me like duck hunting does either.
Yeah. It man, I'll tell you what, for me, duck hunting, it was one of those things I always admired and wanted to get into. I grew up not with not a lot of money. So as you know, duck hunting can be a little cost prohibitive sometimes. And I was a big game hunter. And it was kind of like always right there. I'm like, I'll get to you. I'll get to you. And we're coming up on a handful of years here, and it's like, oh no, I'm feeling myself get like, when is November? When is teal
Right.
season? Maybe I can go to
Yeah.
North Dakota and do an early goose season and start foregoing all of these bow hunts and other things that I absolutely love. Like I love whitetail, I love elk, I love all these big game species, and I have a lot of dreams to do some bigger ones, but it's like, oh man, there's something about these birds that is just so special and appealing in a way. And one of the things that I don't think gets enough attention is there's an element of randomness to it that is so unpredictable, like especially in some of the areas like in Kansas. This year it was crazy. We're always looking for greenheads, but we're having ringnecks come in and it's like, what are you doing? You're like an eastern flyway bird. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
um, and I love that randomness of it, where if it's like maybe a pack of teals or out here the occasional speckle belly, it's like, whoa, let me dig in my bag, try and find that speck call real quick and see if I can get those
Right.
suckers to land. That randomness is so unique and appealing to me. And I mean, I could sit here and list 100 different reasons why waterfowl hunting is so incredible, but um, if do you could you put in words like what do you think the draw is for you and why it's so dang addicting?
Well, it's kinda like saying, "Why do you breathe?" To
Yeah.
me is how it feels. It's like, I don't know, there is a draw to it that is just something some of us are almost compulsed to do. It's the adventure side of it, whether it's, boating across a reservoir in the dark in 25-degree temperatures or out busting an ice hole. There's the adventure aspect to it. But there's something that's way deeper than just the adventure. I mean, there's something like hunter gatherer kind of thing into it also, but it's so hard to really it's so hard to put full words to it. It's not just like, "Oh, I like playing pool." I like playing pool a lot. It's so much deeper. To those of us that are just completely eaten up by it, there's so much something so much deeper about it that like goes clear down into your DNA that it's just there's no other feeling like it. There's just no other feeling like it. It's just I don't know. It's really hard to put words to it, you know?
Man, I feel like possessed by the time duck season is getting here. It's like I'm not even thinking about it. It's just like I'm just throwing decoys into the vehicle and strapping down a kayak, and it's like next thing I know, it's 4 in the morning. And I'm driving, and like sometimes I'll snap out of it and be like, "What am I doing?"
Right.
It's like how did I even? It's like all of that was just like on autopilot until it's like we're doing it, and it's like oh, and then I probably spent not as much time in the marsh as I would have liked this year, but mm, 30 to 40 days, which was a lot for me.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and by the time snow goose season rolled around, it was the best way to kind of like cap it off because we killed 125 birds with like 8 to 10
Nice.
guys, and it was actually my first time doing a snow goose hunt. And the guide was like, he's like, man, I feel bad for you. He was like, I was like, what do you mean? We absolutely smashed him. He's like, I just want to let you know it's not like this every single
Yeah,
time.
right. No, no.
We were right on the X. I mean, they were tornadoing. We probably had 10 to 12 different volleys. Just it was like, you couldn't have drawn it up any better. And I got a lot of that on video. I just kind of recently started filming my duck
Mm.
hunts, and so I was really happy. And I'm still, it's May, and I'm watching that footage back sometimes, just being like, oh gosh, February is so far away.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm actually anymore kind of glad when the season ends because like someone please unplug me.
Mhm.
I'm like, unplug this. I want to relax. I need the obsession to be unplugged. So
Yeah,
it's kind of nice for me. Cause like as you know, for us, teal dove season September 1st, teal season starts beginning of September. We're going 6 months of the year. Our waterfowl season is literally 6 months of the year when you include snow goose. And I don't do a bunch of snow goose. I get out a couple times a year snow goose. I've never gotten on a great one like that. But it's like that it's a long season. I get about the same as you. I get out about 40 times a year, but it's like you're thinking about you're strategizing, what gear am I going to take? Where am I going to hunt? Who's going, it's like and that's another thing about it that is so great is that it gives your place a mind to go if you're a Monday through Friday work guy. It gives your mind something to be excited about, something to break up the monotony, and a place to go in a positive way.
mhm.
And that's a huge thing for any hobby. People that don't have hobbies, I really feel sorry for. Is it gives you something to be most experiences. It's the anticipation and the memory is the why we really do things because the actual moment is like poof gone. It's that everything leading up to it and that memory afterwards is why we do things. And so having all of those memories around it during all of the time is just really enriching.
100%. And you touched on kind of, you still work a full-time job, or are you kind of doing content
Yeah.
full time? Still working.
I'm hoping that I can go full time here really soon. I'm just nervous to once I make the jump, I want it to be no looking back. So I'm nervous to make the jump. So no,
Yeah.
I've worked in elementary education for over 25 years. Right now I've done like second, third, fourth, fifth grade. I'm doing the STEM job position right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'm still Monday through Friday.
Oh, man, I bet you're an awesome elementary school teacher. I wish you were my elementary school teacher. I think your personality fits that really well.
Oh, thank you.
Um, so you said you were out about 40 times last year. Do you kind of got
Mhm,
some videos in the coffers that you're kind of slow? I know you're friends with Matt from High Prairie. I was asking him,
mhm.
I was like, dude, when's the next video? I can't get enough of that guy's films. Same with yours. It's like as soon as these films drop, I'm like, it's on the TV. We're watching it on the big screen. So
Yeah.
do you got some stuff kind of loaded up and releasing it
I
or
don't. No, Matt hunts like 100 times a year. So
yeah.
he's got unlimited I will say this about Matt. His videos are such I've used this analogy before. They're like these perfectly little packages. It's like the way he does them, his intros, his music, they're all just so tight and perfect. He is phenomenal at the style that he does. I mean, just phenomenal at it. But he hunts so many times. For me, I get out. I mean, if I go on 40 hunts, I'm not gonna. I used to post all my zeros. I don't do that anymore. And so, I if I get out 25 out of my 40 videos that I think are good enough to make a video on, I get those out during the season. So I don't typically have anything to post during the off season or into August because everything I get out, I put out.
Yeah.
So he's got an unlimited supply because he hunts, man, I think he goes on like 80 a year. He hunts so many times.
Well, and he's got a big boy job too. I don't even get it. I mean, it's
Well, he gets a lot of time off though, and he gets a lot of afternoons off. So his
uh,
his work schedule's very flexible.
that's good. Yeah. No, I feel like Matt kind of created a formula that has taken the waterfowl YouTube template by storm. And
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's so perfect. You can't kind of help but be like, okay, well, I do need that shot cam because that is freaking awesome. And it's like, oh, it's $700.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I know. But if you're gonna film with a GoPro on your head, you almost have to pair it with a shot cam because the footage you get is so far away. Now with my GoPro, I have it on linear and kind of really tight, but to pair that with the shot cam is so important because then now you've got a little more of a close up shot, which I've got a big camera that I love using. And I'll use it whenever I can, but it's still hard. It's very difficult to get good footage with like a handheld camera. It's not an easy thing, especially because you're trying to hide. And like if you're in a layout line, you got about zero chance of using a big camera and getting good footage. And it's so hard. So you almost, if you're gonna hunt, you almost have to use GoPros. But there's great things about GoPros, but they're so wide lens that a bird that's 20 yards is gonna look like it's 45. And a bird
Mhm.
that's 40 is gonna look like it's 70, and you're gonna get all sorts of comments about it. Though it's because it's just that's how it is. It's made to get this massive angle. So you just almost have to pair it with his when the shot cans came out and he was able to pair those two together, because I don't know what it is. He gets the best shot cam footage. I don't know why his shot cam footage is so much better than mine. Our shot selection is very similar, but he just always gets the best shot cam footage. I don't know what it is.
Well, and
But
it's
yeah,
it's
those pairings, guys are awesome.
and the for me, what really does it is the decoy cam. The cam that's
Yeah.
out there kinda it must be running around the clock or on a
Yeah, they
remote
run
or
all yeah.
and I was giving Matt a compliment on this. I said, "Dude, you do such a good job of making sure that you're capturing some of that amazing landscape that
Mhm.
also gets those ducks coming in." I mean, some guys, my brother's like this. My brother's just got an eye for cameras and an eye for scenery and whenever I ever give him a camera, I'm like, "Oh, what am I even pretending to film stuff for? You need to be you know, like a big goal of mine is to get to the point where like I could just afford to have my brother follow me around with for everything and just like just record everything and I'll take care of it. I'll
That'd be
take care of
awesome.
it after that, you know.
Yeah, that'd
Um,
be awesome.
what big camera do you like to use?
I've got a Panasonic X20, which is one I'm using right now too. It's a little bigger than I had the gosh, I can't remember which one I had. I'm blank on the last one, but it was smaller and I got it wet and ruined it and it was insured. And so I'm like, man, I needed one right away and I couldn't find that same camera anywhere. I can't believe I can't remember what type it was. Anyway, and so I saw this one, which was a little more expensive, but I didn't realize how big it was. And it came in the mail. I'm like, holy crap, this thing is like, it's like that
Oh
big.
wow.
And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, now I gotta lug this dumb thing around." But yeah, it's a nice camera. It's nice, but I want from the time I started filming, I'm like, I'm hunt first. I am hunting and trying to film it. I'm not filming and hope to hunt. Now,
Mhm,
if I've got 3 or 4 people with me, I would have no problem filming for the first half of the hunt while the people shoot ducks. But normally it's like if it's me and one guy or just me and myself, it's like, no, the hunt comes first, the filming comes second.
mhm.
And so it's hard to get really good shots with those big cameras. Like a lot of people that are like YouTubers just don't even really mess with. bigger cameras at all because they want to be shooting every single second, and the GoPros are just so easy to get footage. It's just how quality is that footage going to be is the question.
Yeah, especially in the low light conditions, that's always the problem with
Yeah,
deer
GoPros
hunting.
suck with low light. They're awful.
Well, and I tried, I'm in the wedding industry and for
Mhm.
work, and the 360 camera, like on my DJ booth, works really good because I can record the crowd and stitch it together to make vertical content. And it's like, it's another kind of one of those tried and true formats, and it works really well. It's hasn't proven to be that effective for duck hunting. I'm,
You tried it? Yeah.
and I really wanted to, and maybe I just have an older generation and it's just not like coming through that clear. It's just like even in a well lit condition, I can't get it to like not look grainy. And
Yeah.
so maybe I just need to upgrade to a newer model. But if the 360 camera technology could get there, because one of the angles that I always want to see more of is like guys popping out of a blind and taking those
Mhm.
shots. But I know Jake from Chasing Green, he does do film himself a little bit more. It's just one of those angles that is a little underutilized right now, I think. Um,
Well, it's so difficult because, like, so for me, I've got my GoPro on my head, I've got my big camera, and then I've got another GoPro that I normally put it out on the decoys. Sometimes I turn it on me, but if I'm gonna add another GoPro plus the shot cam, well, now you're talking 5 cameras, and if you've done any editing at all, when you start adding cameras, I mean, the time spent editing just goes through the roof, and now you're talking cameras that are running that decoy camera, it runs for 6 hours straight.
mhm.
So you gotta go through all of that 6 hours and find those little micro times where ducks are shot, and luckily, if you have a dog, it's easy because I can just go, "Okay, when I see the dog, I know a duck was shot." But now if I'm adding another camera that's on facing me, that's harder because you still got 6 hours to go through. So now you got or however long the hunt was, you know? And then some people run the head camera nonstop. I just turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on because it's just becomes overwhelming. The amount of footage you've got just becomes overwhelming. So you've got to make choices. Like, do I want a camera facing me or do I want a camera in the decoys? So you kind of have to do a trade-off. So I did a few more this year where it was facing me and I really like it because it gets all the dog stuff. It gets all the dog stuff like me and the dog taking off, and then I can switch it to my head camera and then get the dog running away, and so I like that, but then those really cool shots where a mallard comes and literally tries to land on the camera, well, now you're not gonna get those. So it's like trade-offs.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like if you start thinking about all the cool angles you want, because like there's one thing that I've and you're probably the last person I should be telling this to because you could totally do it and it would be awesome. But strapping like a small Insta 360 makes like a really small camera, and
Mhm.
there's like a pet harness, and I'm like, and it's waterproof. I'm like, oh, dude, if you could get an angle of a dog going out and picking up a big old green head,
Yeah.
I'm like, that would just be the coolest shit.
They have mounts for GoPros. I've got a dog mount
Yeah.
for GoPro, and the problem is when I tried it, it's still too, like it doesn't look it never I don't know. I only tried it once and it was kind of a pain in the ass. Like, okay, look, I can't even go down that route because you can't do it all. You just can't. Because
Yeah.
then with all the filming, then it's like you're calling, you're working the dog, it's like maybe you're pulling a jerk rig.
Right.
Good Lord. How
Yeah.
many
It's like
things can you do?
octopus out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, your channel is incredibly popular. Your videos do really, really well. How long have you been on YouTube?
2015 was season 1, and so Outdoor Limits and I both started he was Kansas fisherman at that time, and he and I both started in 2015, and we were the first 2 people doing it. No one else was doing vlog style, and then like, the year after that, I think Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles started, and Bobby Guy started either 2016 or 2017, and then, like, and so then it, like, everyone was doing it, with by 2018, 19, there was a bunch of people doing it, but I was really lucky because I got in right on the ground floor to where, it was just becoming a thing, and so I was very, very fortunate to when I started.
And growing on YouTube was, I think, a little bit easier back then too. I mean,
Way easier.
getting
No one was
subs
doing it.
now. Yeah, and getting subs now, I mean, it's like I have some videos that have done very well, and I'm like, "Come on, guys, like, can you hit the sub button, please, for the love of God?"
But why? Being a sub doesn't mean anything. It
It
doesn't
doesn't.
mean anything.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't give out like, right now, YouTube shows you what you've watched recently, and that's about it, and it makes no difference. I don't ever sub to anyone anymore because it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't like, you can go and see, and, like, I can have all these subs, but YouTube is not going to show them my videos unless they've been watching my videos, or if you go in and hit the bell and the no one does that. No one goes and hits the bell and the little thing. No one does that.
Yeah.
Subs used to mean something, and now they just don't mean nothing anymore.
Well, and I think YouTube is kinda also, like, telling us that, right? It's like, if I was to go onto your channel right now, it doesn't and I'm watching a video, it doesn't say freelance duck hunter and, you know, 80,000 subs or whatever you're at. It just shows your name. It doesn't even show the sub counts anymore. So, I think it's their way of kinda signaling to say, like, if you like the content, you like the content. You can like
Yeah.
and it taking away those numbers, I think psychologically has changed things a little bit, so
Yeah, and it is way harder to grow right now than it was, back then, because it's just there's just so much content, and I think people are going to now with TikTok and Reels, I think less people are watching long form content too.
yeah. Yeah. But there's also kind of a movement for people to kind of focus on more long-term content. They're like, "Man, I'm so tired of this, like, 15-second fast pace, ba, 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 ba,"
Right,
and just
right.
being more, just aware. But even then, like, the only reason this podcast is getting any, views is because I am taking them into 60-second pieces and putting it on Instagram and TikTok, and so that
Yeah,
people can kind of get a cool little piece of tidbit here and there. But if you're
yeah,
like me and you're driving all the time, it's like, I just listened to a 10-part series on Lewis and Clark, you know?
yeah, right, right. Well, the podcast scene is blown up, and so it's like everyone's got a podcast anymore. Like getting into that is difficult. It's difficult. But the way that you can give yourself an advantage is just by not stopping after 20 episodes.
Mhm. Yep,
Like keep going, just grind it out. Don't stop. Start and don't stop.
yep.
That's
I
the
think
key.
I think you're gonna be episode 15 for me, so that the episode 20 is definitely a milestone. I've heard of that sort of episode 20 fall off pitfall before, and, I'm still just kinda trying to figure it out. I'm one of these guys who's, like, has a hard time just if we're hanging out at a bow shop or wherever, it's like, dude, I'll sit here and talk with you for 2 hours about anything. It just
Mhm,
kind of
right,
ends up
right.
being one of those things. So, well, Elliot, dude, thank you so much for coming on and answering some of my amateur dog training and duck hunting questions. Freelance Duck Hunter on YouTube, same as Instagram. What is it? Freelance Duck Hunter podcast as well?
It's the North American Waterfowler podcast.
That's right. That's right. That's what it is.
Yeah. And then the Flatlander Kennels podcast with Chris Jobman is the dog training podcast.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate your time, man. It means a lot to me.
Yeah, no problem.
Just